Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to be doing three things. One, we'll quickly run through the evaluation criteria of the CBSE board for the class 12 examination, because the board examination has been cancelled. The Honorable Supreme Court asked the board to come up with an evaluation criteria and submit it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has accepted the criteria provided by the CBSE. The CBSE's criteria comprises three components. We'll quickly run through those components. The second component is where, second part of this video is where we're going to be investing a little bit of time to help all of us get clarity on how does this translate into a mark. We'll take an illustrative example and run through it. And lastly, we'll round up this video saying that what are the next steps that are available to you now that the evaluation criteria is there. When are the results expected? Once the results are expected, what should you be doing and what should you be doing in this intervening period, right? Let's quickly look at all three parts. The first part is the most objective one, which is known to us out in the news. Is the evaluation criteria comprises three components. There is 80 marks to be awarded for the board examination. 40% of this 80 marks comes from what you have done during the course of this 12th standard. Unit test, half yearly and pre-board revision examinations, right? How is it decided? What weightage is given to what is decided by the school, and how does the school decide it? We'll look at it in a subsequent slide. The second component comes from what you have scored in the corresponding subject in your 11th standard final examination. So, what you scored in 11th standard final examination economics paper, that would carry 30% weightage. And the last component is another 30% that comes for your performance in the 10th standard board examination. Whoever is sitting for the 12th standard this year would have written the 10th standard board examination and would have got a criteria of evaluation, which is actually how typically board examinations were evaluated. You wrote the final examination for 80 marks and you scored it. So, that's a board awarded marks for you. So, you get 30% weightage for it. But the whole point is, look at it. You have economics in 11th standard, you have psychology in 11th standard, you have physics in 11th standard, but you had only science and social sciences in 10th standard. So, how are they going to translate it? Is it the overall marks for all 500? No. They're basically picking the best 3 marks that you have scored in 10th standard, and the average of the best 3 marks is what is going to account for the balance 30%. So, 80 marks, 40, 30, 30 is the breakup for it, right? Let's take an example. We'll translate this 40%, 30%, 30% into what it breaks down for 80. So, 30% of 80 is 24 10th standard marks, which is the best 3 marks in 10th standard, 30% of 80 for the 11th standard corresponding subject final examination mark, and 40% of 80, which is 32 marks for how the school decides for the component of unit test, pre-board and half yearly, right? I am going to take an example. Let's say this is what a student scored, student X scored in one of the papers. Let's say the subject is economics. Let's find out what the student will get out of 80. Right. The best 3 marks in 10th standard for the student adds up to 270, let's say 270 out of 300, that translates to a 90%. And this is the component which can get a maximum of 24 marks. If the student scored 300 on 300, 100% in best 3 subjects, right, then the student is going to get 24 marks component as a weightage for the 10th standard, but the student has scored only 90%. So, 90% of 24 comes on this component, which would translate to a 21.6. The student scored in 80 marks in, let's say, final examination of economics in 11th standard awarded by the school. So, if the student has scored 100%, the student would have got 24 on 24, but the student scored only 80%. So, 80% of 24, which is 19.2, is what is going to be awarded for this 24 mark component. And let us say the last part, based on your unit test, pre-board and how your school evaluated your 12th standard performance, you scored 90% of what can be awarded for that, right? They say that that amount is 90 marks. So, if you had got 100 on it, you would have got 32 marks totally. You got 90, so 90% of 32 is a 3.2 less 32, which is a 28.8. So, this is the component for this 32 marks. So, all of these 3 things will add up to 28.8, 29, 48, 48, 69.6 is the total that you are going to be getting. So, 69.6 out of 80 is what you will get if this is the breakup that you got in 10th, 11th final examination and what your school awarded for your pre-board examinations, half yearly and unit test component taken together. Add to this, this is 69.6. Let us say you got a 19 marks in your practicals, right, the 20 mark component. So, that is the total marks that you are going to be looking at 8, and this is going to be 88.6, which probably would get rounded off as 89 marks for you, right. So, this is the basis in which marks are going to be awarded, right. So, quickly, what would it translate to? Of the 100 marks, 80 marks come from these 3 parts, 24, 24 and 32. Add the practical component also to it. So, 12th standard in total will have 20 plus 32, which is 52 marks. Half the marks come from what you have done in 12th standard. The remaining half, roughly 48%, comes from what you did in 11th standard and 10th standard. This is the breakup for you, right? Now, this component which we are talking about, this 32, right? How are the schools? Because this is an objective number. It's already available with you. You don't have to worry. This number is also practically sealed. It's available. Either the number is known to you if the school gave you the final marks in 11th standard, or it's there with the school records. This is a place where the school is probably not computed the number and kept it ready to be available to the board. So, how does that work? Basically, each school has to set up a committee of 5 members. And they have to decide, are they going to take unit test alone, are they going to take pre-board examination alone, best scores of the 3 pre-board, 2 pre-board, half yearly 20%, they have to decide and have an objective evaluation criteria and present that to the board along with the marks that they are going to be sending, right. The results will have to be declared by the board by the 31st July. It's not just the CBSE board. The Honorable Supreme Court subsequently came up with an order saying that every single state board, every board has to have their 12th standard results out by July 31st, so that students and the next round of admissions for the colleges, neither the college administration nor the students are inconvenienced in any account, right. So, by 31st July, all of us will have marks from whichever board we graduate from, right. Now, the thing is, many schools do this, right, as in many good schools do this at the pre-board level, at the half-yearly level. Schools are miserly when they give marks for good reason, as in that's what any good teacher would do. They'll probably, if you are in a board, the equivalent question you would have got 20 marks, they'll probably award you 17 marks at the school level, for the simple reason they do not want the student to get complacent, they do not want the student to get overconfident, right. They'll want you to dot every single I and cross every single T, which is when you're going to be awarded marks. Even then they'll say, hey, let's just take away 2 marks at this point in time, so the student has some more room to improve, can study better, can get more marks, can get better marks, right. Many times if you ended up with probably an 80 or a 75 on 100 in your pre-board, such a student in the board examination might actually translate and get it into 95 marks, because the school wanted to have a positive pressure on you that you study and work towards betterment in your pre-board. So, the marks that they would have got for that 32 mark component, which they have on record, might actually be a scaled down version of what the equivalent student would have got had the board examination been conducted. So, schools will have some way of having to scale that up. The board has given them leeway, saying that the total marks has to be in consonance with how in the past students who scored in the pre-board level scored versus what they correspondingly scored in the actual board, right. They have to scale it up or scale it down or moderate it accordingly. And the board has also kept leeway to moderate the marks plus or minus 5, because they do not want some schools to get overzealous and award too much marks either. So, board will moderate it. So, these are all the check mechanisms that the board has kept, so that whatever criteria has been used to evaluate you during the course of 12th standard meets what it would have been had the real board examination been done. I think it's a fantabulous way they come up with an evaluation criteria. See, as with any evaluation criteria, there are likely to be some pitfalls here and there, but given the pandemic scenario, given the fact that in India we have still not started rolling out vaccination for people under 18, and it will be unsafe, as the Honorable Prime Minister has said, to conduct examination for so many students. And the Prime Minister was absolutely right in mentioning that the health of the students is more important than some of these marks awarded this way or that way. And the second important thing also is the board is giving you a second opportunity. If you think that the marks that you scored here is not up to the marks, is not what you expected, you have a recourse of writing the examination all over again when the pandemic scenario improves. The only condition is, if you choose to write the examination when the examination is conducted by the CBSE and it is made available, the marks that you score in the examination is your final marks. You can't go back and say, hey, that marks is lesser, now can I switch back to what you gave in the earlier criteria. That condition, that facility is the one thing which is removed from you, right. So, sooner or later, by the 31st of July latest, we will have the marks available to us. What next? What do we do in the intervening period, right? The thing that we can do is prepare for the entrance examination. The NEET, the JEE mains session 3, session 4 are yet to be done. Many of these examinations, NEET, CLAT, Humanities and Sciences, TISBAT, HSE, many of these examinations are still to be done. In fact, there are some examinations for the commerce people like the GIPMAT, right, which is done by IIM Bodh Gaya. The application window is still open for you, right. The only examination which is probably entrance test that is done is basically NIFT. So, prepare for this entrance examination, because many times a lot of these schools might actually depend only on the entrance examination scores, even in the past. and in this year it might be more so. In that case, scoring high in the entrance examination might mitigate whatever you probably lost out because of the new evaluation criteria. If you are one of those students who did not do consistently well during the 11th and 12th and banked on doing well during the board examination, many of us do that. We study in the last 45-60 days and score very well in the board examination, not having done consistently well throughout the year. If you are one such person, entrance examination criteria might be the best one for you to work towards. Second thing, keep your eyes and ears open. Many colleges, arts, science, engineering colleges, private universities, they have started their online application window even before the 12th marks are out. Basically, they have the application window where you can key in a lot of data that's available to you, including your 10th standard marks, your name, age, address, parents' details, application, uploading your signature, uploading your 10th standard mark sheet, photographs. Finish all of those to the colleges and the courses that you are interested in applying to. When the 12th marks are available, you just have to fill in that component, probably scan that mark sheet, upload it and be done with it, because you might be applying to many more colleges than you would have normally done, because the evaluation criteria is different. We do not know how things are going to pan out, and even the entrance examinations which are likely to be conducted are getting delayed, which means that the admission round this year is going to be little delayed than it is going to be usual. And as I had mentioned in my earlier video, thing to keep in mind is your admission is also going to be iterative. You probably will get an admission in mid-August or end August when one of these colleges come up with their results, and you might sign up for them. You'll pay the fees and keep it as a safety net. You might even probably start attending colleges when it starts, and apply to other courses for which you would have written entrance tests. Some of the students who applied to a college that you decide to join, a course that you decide to join, they would probably move to a different one because they had written an entrance test which would have helped them crack that particular program. That an opening will happen here. So you move from admission 1 where you probably enrolled to admission 2, and sometimes even admission 3. That could be your last admission which you would settle for and you might be studying. So iterate admissions this year. Keep a wider look for what is happening, which all colleges, which all courses. You might probably be surprised to see there's some lovely courses available which you're not even aware. Use this intervening period when the marks are still to be out to look for those courses, prepare for those entrance examination. Make sure that irrespective of the evaluation criteria, you still have things under your control. You can do very well in the entrance examinations that are there. You can look for programs that are not the most popular and well advertised programs, but are like great programs to study in, and apply to them and do very well in life, education wise, right? Best wishes. And before you go, follow us on all of these, any of the social media that you're comfortable following us. Could be Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, right? In all of these, our handle is Maxtute Pro. In YouTube, your handle is Maxtute. You can also WhatsApp, send a WhatsApp to us at 93822 48484 to get any of your doubts clarified.